Every day, millions of online conversations get derailed by people who aren't there to talk. They're there to stir the pot. Some want attention, some pretend to help but secretly cause trouble, and a few just love watching chaos unfold. If you've ever felt your blood rise over a comment thread, stick around. First, I'll show you 15 troll types, how to spot them fast, and the smart, low-effort ways to deal with each one. Expect real-life examples, like the grammar cop who corrects your emoji, the helpful commenter who actually sows doubt, or the copy-paste spammer showing up like a bad karaoke backup singer. By the end, you'll save time, keep your cool, and maybe even laugh instead of rage when the next troll shows up. 1. Hook. 15 types of online trolls that steal your time and energy, and exact instructions on how to respond to each one. Patterns repeat. A handful of behaviors show up across comments, DMS, and threads, and spotting them early saves time and energy. Trolls are not a mysterious species. They're predictable personalities with repeatable tactics. Below are 15 common types you'll meet online, short life examples, and exact steps you can use to respond. Clear, simple, and practical. Attention seeker beta. Post something shocking just to get reactions. Example. An off-color one-liner dropped into a serious discussion and then watching people explode. Respond. Don't react emotionally. Reply with a calm, short fact if you must, then stop. Better. Delete the notification, mute or block the account, and move on. Feeding attention seekers only trains them. Contrarian. Disagrees with everything, even when agreeing would be normal. Example. Someone saying no, that movie is terrible immediately after a thread celebrating it. Respond. Ask for one clear reason or source. If they answer with the same one-line pushback, ignore. One sentence is fine. Thanks for your view. First I'll note your point, then stop. Know-it-all or expert wannabe. Insists they're the authority, often with shaky sources. Example. A comment full of jargon that doesn't actually answer the question. Respond. Request a single credible source, not 20 vague claims. If they can't provide one, state the correct, simple fact and move on. Use gentle humor if you want. Love the enthusiasm. Can you point me to the report? Grammar copper pedant. Focuses on typos rather than the point. Example. Correcting there when you were explaining feelings. Respond. Ignore the correction unless it changes meaning. If you care, acknowledge briefly and steer back. Thanks. Now back to the topic. Don't let grammar derail the conversation. Concerned troll. Pretends to be helpful but subtly undermines you. Example. First just worried about you sharing this, followed by snide doubts. Respond. Call it out calmly or refuse the disguise. Say, if your concern is genuine, state the issue plainly. If not, first I'll pass. Then mute or block if it continues. One-word poster or lurker. Leave single-word reactions meant to derail or hook others. Example. A lone wrong or wow dropped repeatedly. Respond. Don't escalate. Use the platform's mute or hide features. If you must reply, ask them a simple clarifying question. Most will vanish. Flamethrower angry abuser. Uses personal attacks and caps lock. Example. A thread that suddenly becomes full of insults instead of discussion. Respond. Protect yourself. Do not answer in kind. Screenshot if needed. Report to the platform. Block, and take a break. Safety first. Shill or advertiser. Comments are thinly veiled ads or links. Example. Every reply ends with check out this product or a referral link. Respond. Do not click suspicious links. Report spam. Delete the comment if it's your thread. And consider adding moderation rules to prevent repeat posts. Sock puppet of multiple accounts. One person arguing with themselves to amplify a message. Example. You notice two accounts always defending each other in the same way. Respond. Point out the pattern calmly if public moderation is appropriate, and report coordinated manipulation to moderators or platform safety. Serial arguer thread hijacker. Derails conversations into long fights about unrelated topics. Example. A harmless recipe post turns into an hours-long debate about politics because one person brings it up. Respond. Post a short redirect. Back to the recipe please. Or ask a moderator to move the argument. Don't chase them into every thread. Conspiracy spinner of misinformer. Spreads wild theories or false facts without evidence. Example. A comment claiming a company is secretly doing illegal things, without sources. Respond. Ask for a credible source and offer a simple correction if you have one. If they double down, don't argue. Report false information if the platform allows. TMI overshare drama seeder. Drops personal, messy details to get sympathy or start fights. Example: a user posts intimate quarrels in a public group. Respond. Set boundaries. Remind the group of rules, suggest private support channels, and remove or report the content if it breaks community standards. Gaslighter manipulator. Twists your words and makes you doubt yourself. Example: they quote a sentence out of context and insist you said something extreme. Respond. Calmly restate your original point and provide a short quote or screenshot of what you actually said. Keep replies factual and minimal. If manipulation continues, block and document. Copy-paste broadcaster a link spammer. Floods comments with the same message across posts. Example: identical promo text posted under many unrelated topics. Respond. Report as spam. Use moderation tools to remove repeated content and consider filters or approval systems for new posters. Stalker obsessive commenter. Shows up repeatedly in your mentions and threads, even after being asked to stop. Example: the same person replies to your weekend posts over and over. Respond. Use platform blocks and privacy settings. If the behavior escalates or feels threatening, save evidence and report to platform support or local authorities if necessary. Keyboard warrior or anonymous bully. Behaves bravely online and often targets vulnerable people. Example: harsh personal attacks from accounts with little identity. Respond. Don't engage their bravado. Defend factual points if you must, but prioritize safety. Block, report, and support targets of harassment privately. These quick recognitions and step-by-step responses turn chaotic feeds into manageable spaces. Use platform tools, mute, block, report, like a toolkit. They're made for this. And remember, your time and energy are finite. Save them for people and conversations that matter. 2. Type 1. Professional Devil-Plenthal. A real-life example. Someone who writes "here's an argument" or "but you didn't consider that" under every post you post, creating the illusion of a discussion while actually wasting your time with endless rebuttals. Some people online specialize in one thing: replying to nearly every post with a tiny challenge that looks like debate but mostly costs you time. They often open with lines such as "here's an argument" or "but you didn't consider that," then follow up with a paragraph of nitpicks, partial facts, or off-topic comparisons. On platforms like Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, and comment sections under news stories, this pattern shows up again and again. The tone can be polite, pedantic, or performatively helpful, but the outcome is the same: conversation momentum stalls. A common real-life example is simple and familiar. You share a picture of your home-cooked meal and someone replies, "Here's an argument. That's not healthy because of 10th." Then posts a link to a blog without context. The next day you post a travel photo and the same account drops a "but you didn't consider that" about local politics. Another example: you write a short thread about remote work and a commenter responds under every follow-up, insisting on caveats and counterexamples until what started as a quick update becomes a late-night exchange full of citations and clarifications. It looks like discussion, but it slowly eats your time and energy. Motives vary. Some do it for attention and to feel clever, others because they genuinely want to be thorough but lack social filters, and a few aim to derail conversations or provoke reactions. The cost is practical. Productive threads get buried, readers tune out, and you end up replying to tiny objections instead of moving the discussion forward. Not every persistent commenter is a troll. Sometimes the person is sincerely interested but socially tone-deaf. Still, the pattern is recognizable: frequent, predictable challenges that prioritize being right over being helpful. Practical responses work well and take little effort. Short, calm replies like "noted," "thanks," or "can you cite that source?" often stop the cascade. Blocking, muting, or turning off comments on a post are blunt but effective tools when the same account repeats the behavior. Moderation, pinning a clarifying comment or setting rules for replies, helps steer readers back to useful contributions. A little humor helps too. A light reply such as "this sounds like the start of a podcast" can diffuse tension while signaling you won't be dragged into an endless rebuttal. In other words, spot the pattern, protect your time, and let the professional devil have the last word, if you feel like it. 3. Type 2. Gaslighter in the comments. A real-life example: a troll distorts your words, says you said it yourself when you didn't, forcing you to doubt your memory and make excuses. Gaslighting in comments is when someone twists what you wrote so you start doubting your own words. They do this by chopping your sentence, changing a few words, or inventing a quote and then claiming you said it yourself. Simple tactics include repeating the false line, tagging other people to pile on, or even making a fake screenshot that looks like you typed something you didn't. The goal is to derail the conversation and put you on the defensive. Once, on a neighborhood group chat, a parent posted about wanting school schedules that better fit working families. Clear, calm, 3 short sentences. A commenter replied, "Right, because you said kids should never have structured time, totally irresponsible," and then added, "You literally said it yourself." The thread filled up with people asking where they had said that, and the original poster began to scroll through their own memory, uncertain. They started typing weak clarifications like, "well, first meant," and first might have been unclear, even though their original post had been specific and kind. Friends privately messaged to say the comment was wrong, but the damage, the feeling of suddenly being wrong, had already landed. Trolls bank on that split-second doubt. Small, repeated distortions make you expend energy checking and defending instead of continuing whatever you were doing. It's exhausting, and yes, a little absurd, like apologizing for speaking English because someone insists you were speaking Martian. The tactic works because humans generally trust their memory less than the social pressure of others piling on in public. Practical responses stop the spin. First, don't apologize right away. Take a breath and find your original text, scroll, screenshot, or copy it into a note. Post a calm reply quoting your exact words and link back to the original, or say, "That's not what first wrote, here is my post." Ask the commenter to point to a line. Make them show evidence. If they produce a fake screenshot, point out specific differences instead of launching a long argument. Use humor sparingly to diffuse, block or mute repeat offenders, and report harassment if it crosses a line. Friends can help. A quick private message asking them to read the original before replying publicly often stops the pile-on. 4. Type 3, Victim Troll. A real-life example, "You're all hurting me." Someone who provokes conflict and then plays the victim, demanding your apology. People who kick up trouble online and then act wounded are usually doing it to shape the story in their favor. A victim troll works in a simple, predictable way. They say something provocative, watch the reactions roll in, and then switch to a hurt tone to demand sympathy and an apology. In real life, this can look like someone posting a snarky comment in a family chat about parenting choices, then screenshotting the replies and posting them publicly with the caption, "Look how mean everyone is to me," expecting friends to beg forgiveness. It's common enough that you'll spot the pattern once you know what to look for. Signs of this behavior are pretty easy to spot. They often share only part of a conversation to make themselves look attacked. The language suddenly changes from teasing or poking to dramatic hurt, as if an Oscar is being silently handed out. For example, a gamer who taunted opponents in voice chat might later claim harassment and demand public apologies from teammates. Another everyday example is a coworker who drops a loaded comment during a meeting, then pouts afterwards and insists everyone apologize for being so cruel even though they started it. How you respond matters more than how angry you feel. Pause before replying. One short, calm sentence is better than a long, heated essay. Save the screenshots and timestamps if you need proof. If the person clearly provoked the situation, you don't have to apologize to soothe their performance. Try asking a simple, neutral question instead, like, "Which message are you referring to?" And watch whether they can answer without cherry-picking. Private messages can diffuse a scene or, at least, test whether the hurt is real. Know when to ignore and when to act. If it's a one-off, shrug and move on. Don't hand out apologies like candy because someone threw a tantrum. If the pattern repeats or turns into threats, use mute, block, and report functions, and keep copies of everything. And if someone keeps staging themselves as the wounded party while starting the fire, don't feed the drama. It's exhausting and rarely honest. A little humor helps. Think of them as the person who pretends to trip so everyone else apologizes for shoving them, except online, and less graceful. 5. Type 4, Narcissistic Expert. A social media example. A person who comments that they know better even though you have 10 years of experience and they have 0, but their confidence makes you waste energy trying to prove it. Many people on social platforms present absolute confidence about topics they actually know little about. They assert themselves with sweeping claims, correct others in a blunt tone, and often rely on a few buzzwords or vague references instead of real evidence. This behavior, coming across as the definitive authority, can make even seasoned professionals feel obligated to respond, because the loudest voice often looks like the most informed one. The combination of certainty and arrogance is what makes these commenters especially draining. Picture a software engineer who posts a clear explanation of a tricky bug and includes code snippets. A commenter with no professional coding background fires back, "That's wrong, you should do 10th. Trust me, first know how this works." They don't provide logs, examples, or sources, only certainty. You answer with clear steps, screenshots, and the exact stack trace. They reply with more confidence and fewer facts. It quickly turns into a comment thread where everyone else watches a slow-motion duel between logic and bluster. It's like arguing with a loudspeaker that refuses to show its batteries. Handle these interactions with simple, practical moves that save time and sanity. Ask for specifics. Which line do you think is wrong, and why? And insist on evidence before engaging further. Short replies work well. One polite correction plus a link to a source often ends it. If the person doubles down without proof, mute, hide, or block, your priority is the audience, not the ego in the comments. Sometimes a short, humor-tinged line like "thanks for the passion," "sources welcome," deflates the posture and shifts the focus back to facts. Protect your energy and the value of your content. Keep a record of your original post and any helpful replies so you can point newcomers to the truth without rehashing the fight. Remember that most readers skim comments and will notice who offered clear help versus who only offered certainty. Laugh if you can. Then move on. 6. Type 5, Passive-Aggressive Smiley. A real-life example. Comments like, "Well, you're an expert" face with tears of joy, where the emoji is used as a mask for insults, making you feel hypersensitive. Using a smiling emoji after a cutting comment is a common way people hide sarcasm and avoid responsibility for being rude. It creates plausible deniability. For example, a reply like, "Well, you're an expert" face with tears of joy looks like a joke on the surface but lands as an insult, and that little face becomes a mask. Online and in real life this shows up everywhere. A teammate on Slack who replies "Cool plan" face with tears of joy to your proposal. A cousin in a family chat sending "Right, because you always know best" smiling face with open mouth and cold sweat. A Twitter reply that says "Amazing take" face with tears of joy and gets a chain of upvotes. Those short lines are simple, but the effect is complicated. You end up replaying the exchange in your head and feeling hypersensitive, unsure if you overreacted. Because text strips away tone, emojis act like fake smiles that refuse to sit still. Human brains look for meaning and social cues, so when kindness is hinted at but the words bite, your alarm bells ring. That mix of a joke and a jab makes people doubt themselves, sometimes apologizing for things they didn't do. It's emotionally fattening and mentally annoying at the same time. Practical responses work better than long rants. Pause first. Ask a calm question like, "Do you mean that to be critical?" Or say, "That came across as sarcastic, can you explain?" If it's a teammate who keeps doing it, document the messages and talk to them privately or involve HR if it's part of a pattern. For family or friends, a short, clear boundary helps. First, don't find comments like "that funny." If you want to diffuse with humor, try a light line back. Sometimes a mirror works, sometimes it escalates, so choose wisely. When ignoring feels best, mute or block and move on. Social energy is limited. Keep screenshots if it becomes harassment. And remember, the emoji isn't a coronation, it's just punctuation with attitude. Treat it accordingly. 7. Type 6, Flutter. A real-life example. A troll who writes 20 comments in a row, not giving you a chance to respond to all of them, creating the effect of first outsmarted you with quantity. A flutter drowns an online conversation by posting many messages in a short time, often piling up dozens of comments to dominate attention. They rely on quantity rather than substance, and the tactic is simple. Keep posting until other voices are buried or exhausted. In plain terms, it looks like someone sending 20 comments in a row on a single post, each one pushing the thread further down and leaving little room for genuine back and forth. On a social platform, this might play out like a reply chain that suddenly turns into a one-person monologue. One clear real-life example comes from a public Facebook discussion. After a thoughtful comment about a neighborhood issue, a user began posting 20 short replies, some repeats, some tiny nitpicks, sent every few seconds. People who wanted to join the conversation either scrolled past the avalanche or tried to respond but were quickly overwhelmed. The original poster tried to answer a few points, but the flutter had already posted again, creating the impression they won by sheer volume. It felt less like debate and more like a punctuation-heavy performance. Consequences are practical and immediate. Newcomers stop reading because the thread becomes exhausting. Moderators face extra work sorting through repeated lines and deciding what to remove. The original goal of the discussion, sharing ideas or solving a problem, gets lost. It's also a confidence game. A flutter aims to steer attention by force, making anyone who replies look slow or scattered. Picture someone at a dinner party tapping the table non-stop so no one else can speak. Funny in an exaggerated sketch, annoying in real life. Dealing with a flutter calls for simple tactics. Pause, then don't try to match them comment for comment. Give one clear, calm response that summarizes your position. Use platform tools, hide, mute, collapse replies, or report when the posts are abusive or intentionally disruptive. Ask moderators to step in if rules are being broken. In group chats, telling one person privately to consolidate their points can stop the behavior without drama. Humor helps too. A short, witty reply can diffuse the urge to overpost without feeding the flood. Communities can reduce this problem by setting posting limits and encouraging threaded replies so a single user can't monopolize the main feed. Teach people to flag repetitions and to reward concise contributions. When you see the pattern, many small posts in quick succession, remember the tactic and don't let quantity dictate the outcome. A calm, single answer often says more than 20 hurried ones. 8. Type 7, Evidence Maniac. A real-life example. Demand sources, references, and evidence for every word, even if you're simply expressing an opinion, wasting your time preparing responses. Some people online insist that every single sentence must be backed by a link or a footnote, even when you're plainly sharing a personal view. They'll ask for evidence for things like first think salted caramel is overrated or first prefer walking to jogging, treating casual opinion the same as a scientific claim. This behavior can quickly turn a friendly chat into homework, because compiling sources takes time and the demand rarely matches the importance of the topic. A common real-life example. In a workplace chat, someone posts a short tip, switching browsers fixed my slow uploads, and an evidence maniac replies asking for bandwidth tests, server logs, and vendor white papers. The person who shared the tip then spends an hour digging up screenshots and tech reports just to prove something that was meant to be a quick heads up. Another familiar scene happens on hobby forums. Someone mentions that a particular brand of paint works well, and the thread devolves into requests for lab results and third-party certifications instead of discussing colors and techniques. It's both exhausting and a little funny, like showing up to a bake sale and being grilled for the molecular structure of flour. When you encounter this, simple strategies work best. First, set expectations. Say whether you're sharing an opinion or a fact. Short and clear is better than long and apologetic. Offer a quick summary and then add, first can pull sources if you want them, which puts the ball back in their court. If they keep pushing, ask what kind of evidence satisfies them. An article, a tutorial, a screenshot? That prevents you from doing unnecessary digging. In the workplace, it's reasonable to ask for relevance. Do you need documentation for compliance, or is this for general understanding? That line saves time. Keeping things light helps, too. A little joke can diffuse the intensity. First, I'm flattered you trust my opinion so much you want footnotes. But maintain boundaries. If someone insists on citations for every casual comment, reply concisely or decline to continue the thread. Offer a single, well-chosen source when appropriate, instead of feeling obliged to create a bibliography. Over time, others will notice when the conversation is being slowed down by endless evidence requests and may step in to steer it back to normal. 9. Type 8, Troll-Provocateur. A real-life example, deliberately writes extremely provocative things, all women, all men, to provoke your emotional reaction and draw you into a useless argument. Argument. A troll-provocateur shows up to get people riled up, and they usually do it with sweeping statements that leave no room for nuance. They post lines like all women are like this or all men always do that, because blanket claims are emotional landmines. Most folks can't resist stepping in to correct them or defend a group. These trolls know that outrage spreads fast, so their aim is to bait reactions, derail conversations, and turn a useful thread into a shouting match. On a parenting forum, a common real-life example looks like this. Someone comments, all mothers who go back to work are bad parents, and waits. Replies flood in, defenses, accusations, personal stories, and the original poster keeps stirring with sarcastic one-liners. In a workplace chat it might be subtler. People who take lunch breaks are just lazy. That line can turn a technical discussion about project timelines into a morale battle in minutes. Online, the provocateur often uses short, dramatic posts because they're punchy and shareable. In real life the tactic is the same as the diner who loudly claims their coffee is poison just to watch the room gasp. Recognizing the pattern helps a lot. Look for extreme generalizations, repetitive posting across different threads, and deliberate attempts to frame people as all or never. They frequently ignore evidence and bait with insults or absurd comparisons. Once you spot that, treat the post as bait rather than a reasonable opinion. Pause before typing. Breathing helps. Humor helps too. Sometimes a light, non-sarcastic joke can diffuse the energy without feeding the troll. Try something neutral like, "This thread is getting off topic. Can we stick to the original question?" Short, calm, and redirecting tends to remove the crowd that the provocateur is trying to gather. If you must respond, use facts and limit emotion. Ask clarifying questions that demand specifics. Who do you mean by that? Or what examples do you have? Those responses force the poster to move from a general insult into a specific claim they can actually support. Alternatively, use moderation tools, mute, block, or report. On many platforms, a single report from a few users will attract moderator attention faster than 100 angry replies. For groups and chats, set a clear rule against sweeping generalizations and link to it when someone starts a bait post. That way the community, not just one person, enforces the tone. Finally, remember how it affects you. Provocateurs feed on attention, and your time and calm are more valuable than proving a point. Walk away when responses become repetitive or abusive. Share one clear correction if it helps others, then stop. Laugh about it later if you need to. Think of the provocateur as the person at a party yelling that pineapple on pizza is theft just to watch the debate explode, and then go back to the conversations that actually matter. 10. Type 9, the Troll-Translator, a real-life example, translates your words into absurdity, so you're saying that, creating a straw man that's easy to refute. A common online tactic rewrites someone's opinion into something extreme and easy to attack. This behavior, often called building a straw man, is the bread and butter of the Troll-Translator. In plain terms, the troll takes a reasonable statement, glams it up into nonsense with a mocking so you're saying that, and then knocks down the fake version to win. It shows up everywhere: comment threads, group chats, work Slack channels, and family group texts. Here's how it looks in real life. You say, "Maybe we should cut down on single-use plastic in our office kitchen," and the troll replies, "So you're saying we should ban all cups and everyone must drink from puddles." Short, exaggerated, and easy to ridicule. Another, you suggest let's give remote days to people when it helps, and someone answers, "So you want nobody in the office ever again?" In a parenting forum you might write, "Try limiting screen time for toddlers," and the Troll-Translator answers, "So you're saying phones are murder machines?" The pattern is always the same: a tiny step from your original point to an absurd position, followed by mockery. People use this trick because it's fast and effective. It saves effort. No need to address the real idea. Just invent a version that's easy to punch down. It also draws attention and gets reactions, which feeds trolls emotionally or socially. Result: conversations go sideways, useful points get buried, and reasonable people often end up disgruntled or defensive. In workplace scenarios, this can waste a meeting. In public debates, it pushes nuance off the table. Practical response options work better than shouting. First, calmly repeat your original point in simple terms. "First didn't say that, first said 10th. Give a short, concrete example to anchor your meaning. Ask them to quote which sentence they disagree with. If they keep translating your words into silliness, call it out. That's a straw man. It doesn't address what first actually said. If you prefer to avoid escalation, ignore or block persistent offenders and use moderation tools when rules are broken. A little humor helps too. Telling someone, "Your translator must be set to fantasy mode," can diffuse tension without feeding the nonsense. To prevent getting trapped, be as clear as possible from the start. Use brief, specific language and include one example to show what you mean. When trolls twist you, don't fall into the correction loop for too long. Correct once, then move on or escalate. Recognize the pattern quickly, respond briefly, and stop the conversation if it becomes a contest of absurdities. After all, life's too short to argue with someone who turns reasonable ideas into a sitcom sketch. 11. Type 10, the Troll-Victimblamer, a real-life example. It's your fault. Accuses you of allowing yourself to be trolled, making you feel guilty for your reaction. This type of troll tries to turn the spotlight away from their own rude behavior and onto you, saying things like it's your fault so you end up feeling guilty for reacting. They use blame as a weapon, implying that if you hadn't shown emotion, nothing would have happened. Short sentence. The goal is to make you doubt yourself and stop calling them out. For example, On a public comment thread, someone writes a mean joke about your post. When you reply calmly, the troll answers, "Why are you so sensitive? You clearly wanted attention." Or in a group chat, a person makes a mocking remark, then follows up with, "Relax, you're overreacting, learn to take a joke." Those lines shift responsibility away from the attacker and onto the person who got hurt. Another common variation is the troll who accuses you of provoking them, as if telling someone they were asked to be insulted is a reasonable defense. They often use social pressure to back their claim. Bystanders may join in or stay silent, which reinforces the message that the target is the problem. Sometimes the troll mixes concern with criticism. First, only saying this because you seem thin-skinned, which makes the blame feel like friendly advice. That kind of move is called concern trolling, and it's effective because it looks polite while still cutting you down. The result is embarrassment, second-guessing, and a greater chance you'll delete your complaint or stop participating. Practical responses work better than long explanations. Document the interaction with screenshots, keep replies short and factual if you must respond, and use block or mute functions to limit further contact. Tell a friend or moderator what happened so the incident isn't dismissed as a private overreaction. A one-line reply like "First VE reported this" lets you set a boundary without getting dragged into guilt-tripping. And remember, feeling upset doesn't mean you invited abuse. Blaming the victim is the troll's tactic, not your fault. 12. Type 11. The troll grouper. A real-life example. Brings friends who start commenting en masse against you, creating a crowd effect and isolation. A single person recruiting friends to swarm your comments is a common and effective tactic because humans tend to follow groups. It looks like a normal conversation at first, but then dozens of replies pile up and the original voice gets lost. Platforms such as Facebook groups, Instagram posts, YouTube live chats, Reddit threads, Discord servers, and workplace Slack channels are typical places this happens. The group effect makes the target feel outnumbered, and bystanders often assume the crowd must be right, even when that's not true. A typical real-life example plays out in a neighborhood Facebook group. Someone posts a question about a local contractor. One commenter criticizes the contractor politely, and a second user replies with a harsh tone. Then a third account shows up, and a handful more. It turns out the second commenter brought several friends to back them up. They all post negative reactions at once and tag the original poster. The thread quickly fills with short, punchy comments meant to drown out the original voice. The poster deletes the thread, then hides the group, feeling like the room just closed in on them. The result? The target withdraws and the conversation shifts as if the crowd was the only reality. The psychological effect is real and simple. Numbers feel like authority. People in the crowd may be genuine friends, casual acquaintances, or even accounts created just for piling on. That visible mass can pressure moderators to act, or push the target into apologizing or leaving. On top of that, coordinated mass reporting by the group can trigger automatic moderation tools that remove content or lock accounts temporarily. Small actions by many people stack into big consequences. Practical responses work best when they are calm and measured. Pause before replying. A short, factual response is better than a heated one. Use platform tools. Hide or block repeat offenders, set comment filters, enable moderation or slow mode in chats, and report coordinated harassment to admins. Keep screenshots for records. If it's happening at work, escalate to HR with clear evidence rather than arguing in the channel. Sometimes the smartest move is silence plus documentation. Support networks and a few good allies matter more than having 10 extra keyboard warriors. Ask a trusted friend to post a single, clear comment that brings balance instead of igniting a counter-rush. And remember, crowds are noisy, not always right. Treat a troll group as flash mob like a prank. Annoying, designed to get a reaction, and best diffused with a steady hand and a little humor. 13. Type 12. The Troll-Colorblind. A real-life example. Ignores your arguments, repeats their position like a mantra, not engaging in dialogue, but simply creating noise. A common pattern in online exchanges is someone who answers every point with the same short line, no matter how many links, facts, or polite explanations you post. This person doesn't actually engage with the details. Instead, they recycle a catchphrase or slogan until the conversation becomes nothing but background noise. It feels like trying to have a debate with a broken record. The needle drops, the same groove plays, and none of the music changes. One clear real-life example appears in local community groups. After a neighborhood meeting about traffic calming, members posted photos, official memos, and cost estimates. One commenter pushed a single phrase, "They'll never fix this," in every thread about the topic, even when moderators attached PDFs showing scheduled repairs. That repeating behavior is exactly what people mean by a troll who's colorblind to facts. They ignore evidence and keep saying what they already believe. It isn't clever argument. It's background static that turns a useful thread into white noise. People behave this way for different reasons. Some want attention, some are emotionally locked into a belief, and others enjoy derailing conversations. Short, repeated lines are cheap to produce and easy for bystanders to notice, so they often succeed in shifting focus away from real discussion. In practice, it wastes time and frustrates contributors, and it can drown out helpful voices who might otherwise solve a problem. How to deal with it, practically speaking. First, don't feed the pattern. Reply once with a calm fact or a link, and then stop. Second, use moderation tools, hide, mute, or remove repetitive posts to protect the conversation. Third, set clear rules in group descriptions so everyone knows repeated slogans will be removed. A small dash of humor helps too. A short, witty response can diffuse tension without escalating things, but don't turn into a countermantra yourself. In the end, quieting the noise is about preserving space for useful dialogue, not proving who can shout the loudest. 14. Type 13, the troll emotional vampire, a real-life example, specifically seeks out your pain points, appearance, past mistakes, and attacks them to provoke a reaction. Some online harassers target personal weaknesses because hitting a sore spot almost always gets a stronger reaction than a random insult. They pick at things like appearance, past mistakes, family issues, or regrets because those hits are designed to make you defend, explain, or lash out. Many of them enjoy the emotional energy they can siphon off a reaction, which is why people sometimes call them emotional vampires. They feed on upset. This approach is deliberate and often methodical rather than accidental. A common real-life example looks like this. A young professional posts a proud photo after finally getting a promotion. Someone scrolls back through their account, finds an old college photo showing acne and a teenage haircut, and posts a comment mocking the person's appearance while also bringing up an embarrassed story from 10 years earlier. The attacker might tag old classmates to amplify the sting. The goal is clear: make the target feel small enough to respond, and then share that reaction widely. It happens on public posts, in group chats, and sometimes through private messages where the harasser assumes fewer witnesses will stop them. They usually gather ammunition by digging into digital footprints, old posts, tagged photos, yearbook-style captions, or oversharing on past platforms. Short take: they research. Then they attack where it hurts most. Practical steps work better than fury. Screenshot the abuse, block the account, and report the behavior to the platform. If the comment is on a public post, adjusting privacy settings and removing old content can reduce future exposure. A calm template helps too. For example, a brief reply like "comments like this are unacceptable, please stop," followed by muting, is often more effective than a prolonged argument. Humor helps sometimes. A light, classy one-liner can diffuse attention, but only if it genuinely feels safe. Don't let their goal become your story. Tell a friend, archive evidence, and if required, escalate to moderators or HR when harassment crosses into doxing or threats. Short pause. Real support makes a difference, and reacting strategically protects your energy. And yes, it is perfectly reasonable to treat your comment sections like a VIP area with a strict guest list. Lock down those settings and let the troll starve a little. 15. Type 14, troll lawyer, a practical example, scares you with "first or sue, this is slander," even though you are simply expressing an opinion, creating fear, and paralyzing your activity. It's common for people online to weaponize legal words like slander and "first or sue" to shut down conversations and scare others into silence. Those phrases are often used not because the person has a real case, but because they want to intimidate, distract, or force you to remove a post. Short messages can feel huge. They can make you freeze and pull back from posting, commenting, or reviewing. A practical example: a small blogger writes an honest review about a cafe service and posts a clear opinion. First felt ignored at the counter. A few hours later the cafe owner DMS, "remove this now or first I'll sue you for slander." The owner includes no specifics, no explanation, just the legal threat. The blogger panics and takes the post down. Later the owner boasts to friends that they scared someone into deleting a post, the original problem with service days unaddressed. Another real-life scene is a freelancer who gives straightforward feedback in a project chat, and the client replies with a formal-sounding message accusing them of defamation. The freelancer freezes and stops communicating, worried about legal trouble even though they only stated opinions about the work. In reality, many jurisdictions treat opinions differently from false statements of fact. Saying first think the product was overpriced is different from falsely asserting this product contains harmful chemicals if that claim is untrue. Still, laws and outcomes vary, so it's not a one-size-fits-all rule. When someone sends an empty threat, it's useful to respond in a calm, practical way. Preserve the message, screenshot it, note the time, and keep the original post where possible. Platforms record activity, so deleting evidence can make things messier if the issue escalates. Ask the person to identify the exact sentence they claim is false and to provide evidence. That simple, direct request often exposes bluffing. If you're feeling paralyzed, take small, sensible steps. Use a short, neutral reply such as, "Please point to the exact text you find false and provide supporting evidence. Until then, first consider this my opinion." Then block or mute if they continue to harass you. Report threats to the platform. Most sites have harassment and legal threat reporting paths. Keep communication professional and brief. Consider contacting a real lawyer only if a formal legal notice arrives. Many blusterers lose their steam when asked to show paperwork. And remember, you're allowed to have an opinion, to give honest feedback, and to defend your speech without turning every sharp-tongued message into a courtroom drama. 16. Type 15, Troll-Archivist, a real-life example, digs through your posts from 5 years ago, finds contradictions to discredit you now. Some online harassers make a habit out of digging up old posts and messages to trip people up later. They scroll back through years of tweets, comments, forum threads, and public photos until they find something that looks like a contradiction or an embarrassing moment, then pull it out of context to make a point. The goal is simple: turn a past statement into ammunition now, usually by screenshotting, cropping, and sharing with a snarky caption that invites others to pile on. It's less about truth and more about getting a reaction. For example, a person who once posted about hating airline food because of a bad flight might later share a photo of enjoying a fancy airplane meal on a work trip. An archivist will grab the old complaint and the new photo and post them together with a label like flip-flopper. Another common case: someone who once argued strongly about a lifestyle choice, say, always biking instead of driving, later mentions using a car when life got complicated. The archivist highlights the two posts as proof that the person is dishonest, ignoring context like illness, moving, or a new job. Short posts can make this look quicker to judge than it actually is. The fallout can be surprisingly real. A single out-of-context screenshot can spark an argument in comments, draw attention from strangers, or even reach a workplace if it goes viral. That can lead to stress, misinterpretation by friends or employers, and a feeling of being ambushed. Archivists often rely on the fact that most readers skim rather than read whole threads, so the bite-sized contradiction looks damning even when it isn't. It's basically social media's version of someone bringing a single, blurry photo of you at a party and acting like it tells your whole life story. Not fair, but effective. Practical steps help. Clean up old public posts you truly regret, tighten privacy settings, and be mindful that anything public can be archived or screenshot. When an archivist surfaces something, respond calmly, explain the context, admit changes if you changed your mind, and show any missing information that alters the meaning. Short replies work better than long defenses. Document harassment and report coordinated attacks to the platform if people start doxing or threatening. Blocking and muting can stop the immediate noise, and sometimes silence is the best reply. People change, and pointing out a past statement isn't the same as proving malice, so keep a level head and a sense of humor. It helps when someone decides your old posts are the latest internet sport. 17. A 3-question checklist. What type of troll is writing to me? Most online harassment fits clear patterns, and spotting which pattern you're facing takes only 3 quick questions. Answer them honestly and you can save time, energy, and your good mood. First, what is the tone and obvious goal of the message? If the person is trying to shock you with insults, crude jokes, or wildly off-topic comments, they're likely an attention seeker or a shitposter. Think of the person at a party telling louder and louder stories just to keep all eyes on them. If the message tries to bait you into an argument with provocative statements or personal digs, you're dealing with a provocateur who thrives on reaction. A note that looks like caring but steers the conversation to criticize you subtly is often a concerned troll. And if the text contains urgent demands, links, or asks for money or passwords, treat it as a scam attempt. For example, a reply saying you're pathetic is attention-seeking or aggressive trolling. A DM that says first am worried about your post, you should delete it, while undermining you is likely concern trolling. Second, is the behavior one-off or repeated? A single rude comment after a heated topic might be an annoyed stranger or a momentary flare-up. It's usually not worth feeding. Repeated messages across threads, the same phrasing showing up in multiple places, or a pattern like always showing up when you post indicates a persistent troll or someone coordinating attacks. Also watch for multiple accounts saying the same thing. That's often a sock puppet or organized campaign. For instance, if the same username appears to rile up conversations on 3 different posts, they're not a confused passerby. They're a nuisance who will keep coming back unless stopped. Third, is the account real or anonymous? And what do the links look like? Real name profiles with a filled-out history are more likely to be ideological opponents or critics who can be reasoned with. Anonymous handles, brand new accounts, or accounts using stock photos often point to burners, bots, or scammers. Never click a strange link. A DM from CoffeeLover99 with a shortened URL promising exclusive info is a red flag. A commenter using their real name and linking to their blog is different and might just want a debate. Check profile history, mutual connections, and whether the language is copy-pasted across posts. After you run the 3 questions, choose a fitting response. Ignore or mute attention seekers. Report or block persistent harassers. Document and report scams. Don't try to outshout provocateurs. A short factual reply or silence works better. And remember, treating the checklist like a quick detective routine saves time. You don't need a trench coat and magnifying glass, just a clear head, a screenshot or 2, and the willingness to walk away. 18. The drop and response technique for each type, e.g., thanks for your opinion for a Devil-Plenthal, ignore for a flutter. A drop and response is a very short, neutral reply meant to stop a fight, waste less of your time, and avoid rewarding attention-seeking behavior. It works because many trolls want a reaction. A calm, one-line answer removes the payoff and can make the troll move on. Use plain language, keep your tone flat, and resist the urge to add extra fuel. Sometimes the best drop-in is silence. For a provocateur or beta who posts something clearly designed to make people angry, a useful drop-in is noted. Short, dry, and boring. Example: someone posts an obviously exaggerated claim about your favorite show. Reply noted, and the circus usually deflates. For a contrarian or devil's advocate type who always disagrees, try thanks for your opinion. It signals acknowledgement without engaging the argument. If they keep pushing, follow up by changing the subject or leaving the thread. You've already said what needs saying. When dealing with a rager or flamer who attacks with insults, a firm drop-in like first won't engage with insults sets a boundary. Life example: a commenter calls someone names. Respond once with that line, then mute or block. For a flutter or spammer who posts the same thing over and over, the best response is no response at all. Ignore. Use platform tools to report or hide repeated posts. Action beats words every time. Concerned trollers use fake worry to derail conversations. A calm drop-in for them is first appreciate the concern. Keep it brief and move on. For a shitposter who's being absurd or wildly off-topic, a playful but short line, creative take, keeps it light without feeding chaos. Real-life example: someone posts a random meme in a serious chat. A one-word acknowledgement often stops the parade. Grammar police and pedants want to correct and dominate. A neutral reply like thanks acknowledges without arguing details. For attention seekers who crave likes and replies, a short noted or no reply at all removes the reward. Narcissistic self-promoters deserve a tame drop-in. Good to know. It's polite, bland, and preserves your time. Know-it-alls and debunkers sometimes pile facts on to bully others. Try point taken and disengage. Sock puppets or users pretending to be many people are best handled by reporting, accompanied by a simple drop-in such as reporting duplicate accounts. Gatekeepers who lecturingly claim who belongs in a group can be shut down with everyone's welcome here. It's short, inclusive, and shuts the door on their sermon. Edgelords or shock seekers feed on outrage. Give them a shrug, okay. For jokers who troll for laughs, funny works when you want to move on. If a troll crosses into threats or doxing, do not try clever lines. A clear action-oriented drop-in like first am reporting this to moderators, followed by immediate reporting and blocking is the right move. Safety first, sarcasm second. Mix and match these lines to your style. Keep responses under 10 words when you use them. Humor helps sometimes. An ironic noted, chief can deflate tension. but use it sparingly. Above all, remember that drop-ins are a tool to conserve your energy. Short, factual, and ready to escalate to mute, block, or report when needed. 19. 5 phrases that will instantly stop a troll without escalating. Trolls thrive on reactions, not reason. When a post gets loud and emotional, that's their win. Cutting off the emotional fuel quickly is the practical move, and short, calm lines work far better than long rebuttals. Below are 5 simple phrases that stop attention seekers cold, with plain explanations and real-life examples so you can use them without sounding robotic. Thanks for your input. This one is polite and final. It signals you heard them but won't chase the argument, which removes the payoff for a troll. Use it in a Facebook thread when someone starts baiting you about a hobby post. Thanks for your input. First I'll stick to my knitting. Notice how it takes the heat out without sounding dismissive. Let's keep this on topic. Redirecting brings the conversation back to the original purpose and shows you won't tolerate derailment. Try it in a work chat where someone turns a project update into a personal jab. Let's keep this on topic. We need the timeline. Short and practical, it forces a choice. Participate constructively or quiet down. First disagree, but first won't argue here. Boundaries are powerful. Saying you won't engage in a fight acknowledges disagreement but ends the bait. It works well in comment sections where opinions get heated. First disagree, but first won't argue here. Feel free to PM if you want a calm discussion. Calm beats fiery comebacks every time. That seems personal. First won't respond to insults. Calling out insults calmly stops escalation because it refuses the emotional framing. Use it when someone resorts to name-calling. That seems personal. First won't respond to insults. Let's either be civil or stop. It forces the other person to step back or show they're simply trying to provoke. If you have constructive feedback, share it. Otherwise, first I'll mute this. Offer a clear alternative and a consequence. Many trolls rely on uncertainty. A firm, non-threatening fallback removes that. Try this in a Discord server or a group text. If you have constructive feedback, share it. Otherwise, first I'll mute this. Then follow through. People respect consistency. Tone matters more than words. Say these phrases calmly and briefly. A neutral voice strips away drama. Don't add sarcasm, long explanations, or emotional punctuation. That's equivalent to adding fuel. If the person keeps at it after your calm line, mute or block without a spectacle. Humor can help sometimes, but use it lightly so you don't look like you're begging for a laugh. Practice makes these lines feel natural. Try them once or twice in low-stakes situations. Comment threads about movies or hobby forums, so you know how they come across. In the end, silence and a clear boundary are your best tools. Trolls want a show, and these phrases close the curtains politely. 20. Practical exercise. How not to respond when you want to protect your honor. Protecting your honor online often leads to quick, emotional reactions that end up doing more damage than good. People who feel attacked tend to fire back immediately, and that impulse is exactly what escalates a small comment into a public spectacle. Trolls and aggressive commenters are usually fishing for a rise. When you bite, you hand them what they want. This is not just opinion. Social media dynamics reward drama with views and replies. Answering with an insult in return is a common mistake and a fast route to regret. For example, replying to a snide Facebook remark about your job with at least first don't live in your mom's basement makes you look childish and shifts focus from the original point to who can shout louder. Another bad move is the long, point-by-point rant where you reprove your worth in 50 paragraphs. It feels satisfying to type, but most readers will skim past and the thread will fill with side arguments instead of calming the situation. Short, sharp replies in anger also backfire. Typing in all caps is the online equivalent of a tantrum. Nobody gains credibility that way. Publishing private details or dragging unrelated people into the fight is worse. A quick example. If a coworker posts a sarcastic comment on LinkedIn and you reply by naming names, forwarding private messages, or accusing their family, you risk company disciplinary action and look vindictive to neutral observers. Legal threats are another trap. Saying first I'll sue you in a public comment rarely helps and often makes you look impulsive. Legal matters belong in private and with counsel, not in comment threads. Passive-aggressive responses, like replying with a wink emoji or a cryptic one-liner meant to shame, usually confuse onlookers and invite more sarcasm. Role-playing a few how not to responses helps make the pattern clear. Don't post a marathon reply that begins with "since you clearly don't know anything about me" and ends 3 hours later with an essay. Don't repost a private message with the caption, "Guess what they said," to rally your friends. That turns a small spat into public gossip. Avoid escalating by piling on proofs, receipts, or screenshots everywhere. People will call it drama and the original point gets lost. A better immediate step is to pause, breathe, and not respond in anger. Yes, simple, and surprisingly effective. Humor helps too. Treating your impulse to retaliate like an annoying pop-up Anno Domini you close can reduce the urge. Keep a short mental checklist of things not to do and why. Don't trade insults. It makes you look the same as the attacker. Don't post private information. It harms trust and can have real consequences. Don't flood the thread with long defenses. Most readers won't follow, and the tone will stay sour. And for the love of keyboards, don't use all caps. Think of the internet as a room full of people. Reacting like someone starting a shouting match rarely earns respect. 21. 4 mistakes that feed trolls. Trolls thrive on attention and emotional reactions. When someone answers with heat, the troll wins. This is simple. Anger is fuel. For example, a snarky comment on a work post that gets answered with a long, defensive rant will usually attract more jabs, likes, and shares. Short replies that show calm, or no reply at all, remove the payoff and make the troll move on. Trying to reason with a troll is usually a waste of time. Trolls are often after disruption more than truth, so facts alone won't stop them. Picture someone angrily insisting you're wrong in the comments and you post 3 sources to prove your point. The conversation still spirals because the goal shifted from solving a problem to scoring points. Walk away from binary arguments. Save your energy for conversations where both people want to find the answer. Giving out personal information or emotional vulnerabilities hands the troll a toolbox. Oversharing in a heated moment, like mentioning stress at work or naming private details, can quickly be twisted into further attacks. A friend once admitted on a community forum they were having a bad day, and the thread turned into a feed of sarcastic advice. Keep private details private, and use humor or a short, neutral line if you must reply. Amplifying the troll by reposting, screenshotting for public outrage, or forwarding their message to boost visibility actually spreads the problem. People often think calling out bad behavior in public helps, but that attention can turn a nuisance into a trend. A better move is to block or report, and if you must warn others, do it with a private message or a calm summary rather than reposting the original bait. It's like refusing to put wood on a bonfire. The flames die faster. Quick tip: pause for at least a minute before responding. Imagine the audience you actually want to speak to, and choose tools, mute, block, report, over long replies. Little choices like these stop the snack-sized victories trolls live for, and they help keep online spaces sane. Humor helps too. A light quip can diffuse tension without feeding the beast. 22. Conclusion: trolls want your energy, don't give it to them. Provoking content wins attention. Angry replies, dramatic caps, and repeated tags tend to draw eyes faster than calm posts. Social platforms often push content that generates comments and shares, so a single bait comment can get boosted simply because people react. That means the fight you start by replying will likely be shown to more people, giving the instigator exactly what they wanted: attention. Responding buys them satisfaction and steals your time. You might write a long reply, feel a short rush of validation, then replay the exchange for hours and lose sleep. In plain terms, energy equals engagement. Your irritation and time are the currency trolls live on. A simple real-life example: someone posts a snarky comment on your photo and you answer. 10 replies later, the thread becomes a mini-drama that ruins your evening. Short-term wins for them, long-term drain for you. Simple tools and habits cut off that supply quickly. Use mute, block, and restrict features so you don't see the bait. Turn off notifications for hot threads. A useful trick is the wait 15 minutes rule. Sleep on a response and you'll usually see it isn't worth your breath. In family group chats, set clear topics or no politics lanes. In work channels, escalate persistent bad behavior to HR or a manager instead of trading barbs. Quick example: a coworker starts poking. Mute the thread and message your manager with screenshots rather than replying in public. Pre-written replies save mental energy. Keep a short stock message like "first won't engage on this" or "let's take this offline" to post once and move on. Don't delete content just because one person is rude. Deletion can feed the narrative that they won and fuel more attention. Document real harassment with timestamps and screenshots so you can report it if it crosses into threats or stalking. Platforms have reporting tools. Use them when needed, but rely on blocking first for everyday annoyances. Creators and moderators can build defenses that scale. Pin community rules, enable comment filters, appoint trusted moderators, and batch check comments on a schedule instead of refreshing constantly. Example: a live stream host mutes and bans repeat offenders immediately, while answering audience questions in curated batches. That keeps the conversation healthy and saves the host from getting pulled into petty fights. Protecting your headspace is practical, not dramatic. Walk away, breathe, do something offline that costs 0 emotional calories, pet a dog, make tea, or put on a ridiculous playlist. Your attention is a finite resource. Hand it out carefully, because once it's given, you can't get those hours back. Quick recap. We met 15 types of online trolls: the attention seeker who craves likes, the keyboard warrior who rants behind a screen, the fake expert who sounds convincing but isn't, the meme spammer who derails every thread, and the shady user with an agenda, among others. Each one has a simple motive: to provoke, to amuse themselves, or to push a point. The good news is that once you can name the type, it's easier to pick a sensible response. You don't always need a battle plan. Sometimes ignore and block works. Don't feed the troll. Seriously, they're not sushi. Other times a calm, short reply or a factual correction helps. Use platform tools to report harassment, tighten privacy settings, and save screenshots if things get nasty. For example, if a coworker's snide comment shows up on a workgroup, mute or report and take the conversation to a private channel. If a stranger is spreading lies about you, document it and get help from the platform or a trusted friend. First, know this stuff can feel personal. We've all seen a comment that ruins our mood. Tell me in the comments if you've faced a troll who pulled a ridiculous stunt. Bonus points if it was weirdly creative. Your story might help someone else spot the same pattern. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching. Be smart, be kind, and remember, the trolls make noise, but you control the mute button.